All right. County Court of Charles County is now in session. Mayor Jeff Cole presiding. Court will remain in session to adjourn by his mayor.
Thank you, sir. This time we'll open court. Invocation will be given by Commissioner Carmen. He'll lead us in prayer, followed by Amber Russell with the pledge of the flag. All bow.
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. Thank you for all the blessings you bestow on us throughout the weeks and days. We want to ask you to be with the sick and the ones that can't take care of themselves, Lord. We ask you tonight to give us the mind to make good decisions for this county, Lord. Lord, we want to thank you for salvation and ask you to watch over those ones that have not found you yet, dear Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we'll have a roll call. Ms. Crowder.
Beverly Atwood. Present. Tommy Belcher.
Here.
Shane Burton. Alan Carmen.
Here.
Grant Cothran.
Here.
Brian Crook.
Here.
Will Dennis. Jerry Ford. Chris Gregory.
Here.
Bubba Gregory.
Here.
Landon Gully.
Present.
Richard Johnson.
Here.
Judy Kerr.
Here.
David Nollner.
Here.
Leslie Overman. Here. Mark Presley.
Here.
Amber Russell. Here. Lonnie Taylor.
Here.
David Thomas.
Here.
Steve Whitaker.
Here.
18 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. We'll now turn to approval of the minutes. The minutes of January 22nd, 2024 have been distributed. Are there any corrections that need to be made? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Ford, second by Ms. Atwood. Any other discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Minutes stand approved as read. Under announcements, I'd like to officially congratulate Commissioner Gully in the birth of his daughter, Huntley Gully. Is that Huntley? A 10-pounder, I understand. We'd also like to congratulate the Atwoods as their son Rob won his third straight state championship. Is that correct? I would think if he had had to wrestle Landon's daughter, he might not have won that state championship. A call meeting of the Hartsville-Travis County Commission is scheduled for Wednesday, February 28th to review information on the proposed jail with a presentation from Spirit Architect. We'll address that a little later in the meeting. A resolution is on the regular meeting agenda to comply with a motion made by Commissioner Chris Gregory to postpone the resolution 2024-03-800 to the next commission meeting. We'll address that a little later in the meeting too. Is that fair, Council? Okay. At this time, we'll set the agenda. With the proposed agenda in front of you, are there any changes to be made? Yes, sir.
I'll move, since we have that called meeting, I'll move that we go ahead and pull 2024-03-800 from tonight's agenda and then set the agenda.
Okay. That's fine. That's a motion.
Yes.
All right. Have a motion, second by Mr. Thomas. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that's fine. This time I suppose we set the agenda, right? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to set the agenda.
That was my motion.
Okay, to set the agenda with that in it. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
with the.
Thank you, sir. Citizens' response to agenda items. If you wish to speak to the commission about a matter on this month's agenda, there's a sign-up sheet at the podium. you will be called to address the commission at the proper time. Has everyone signed up from the public that wishes to speak tonight? And we'll move forward to the mayor's report. Streetscape looks like it's is finally going to be put to bed. There's a what's coming up to 21,000.
There's a budget.
Yeah, there's a budget amendment that'll come up later that'll be the final thing that has to be done there. The Ward School, the grant is still moving forward. Mr. Gregory, we'll wait till you report from the Public Works on the state of the park at this point. The courthouse is waiting for a compressor to finish the HVAC system and get it going. And I hesitate to say if it'll be next month or the month after that, but we're still hoping to be in the courthouse soon. Traffic on Lock 6 Road. TDOT has contacted me about making some public announcements. If you've been out that way, there's a lot going on and a lot of traffic, and I hear from it pretty often. We're going to try to do some public service announcements in the paper and on the radio. And maybe on our website to caution citizens out that way, because it's, as everyone knows, traffic out there is pretty fast and it's going to be interrupted for the next 2 or 3 years. That's all I have in the mayor's report. We now have committee reports, and we'll begin with 10A, Codes and Zoning. David Thomas.
Yes, so we met on both January 25th and then again on February 7th, discussing the blasting permit that came out of planning. Planning ended up passing that permit on their last meeting. And so we're now going to be bringing forward a request probably next month to add $100 fee to that permit to cover any administrative costs that might come up with adding that to the software that Rosalie now has. We're waiting to hear back from Mark Dealer on the burning permit, and to hear back from Rick Gregory on his progress. So a March meeting has not been set yet. I'm waiting to hear back from both of them.
Thank you, sir. Anything else there?
No, sir.
Okay, 10B would be emergency services. Amber Russell.
Yeah, I have not the voice, but I'm gonna give it my best. So we did meet on January 29th. So far with the ambulance service, there's talk about constructing an emergency shelter under the sheriff's station or old fire hall building. So there's still more information that we need to gather about that. We did do a hardship waiver application. They still don't have a ambulance in. It's estimated to be between March and April. And there's a new supply tracking system that they would like to implement that helps with the management of medical supplies and narcotics. Right now, the one that they're currently using isn't user-friendly or very efficient. As far as the fire department, 12 sets of turnout gear on order. Some are arriving in the next few weeks after our meeting, so they may have gotten those. The air compressor is in. The rescue, they've recently completed the Vanessa K driving. And are hoping to do an extrication course soon. There are still a lot of repairs need to be done to the building down there where they are. There are 2 heaters that are now installed, one in the bay and one in the basement heater. But there's still mold and some pretty unsightly things that are in that building still. I raised the topic of an incentive training program to certify the firemen in our county. They pretty much said it was a cumbersome process and they didn't feel like they needed it right now. That is all that I have for this meeting. I don't have another meeting set yet. I didn't see any need for one this month.
Okay, thank you. Under 10C, Finance Committee, Budget and Finance, Landon Gully.
Yes, sir. Finance met, of course, purchasing also met on that one as well. So the purchasing committee, first looked over, purchases for the last quarter. That's a quarterly meeting. It was approved. All things were approved favorably there in that piece. There was some discussion over the solid waste, and we're gonna get some answers there on why solid waste had jumped so much in Q2 versus Q1. We believe that to be due to, the payment, on Q1 only having 2 months, where the payment on Q2 had, 3 months in that quarter. So that was the piece there. That's the purchasing side of it. Next up, we looked at the trustees' cash balance, we're currently at about 58% through the year. Cash balances looked good. Everything was given a favorable recommendation on what was presented there. Financial summaries as well. We looked through financial summaries, noticed as we've been seeing a few upticks in, some overtime places and some pieces. Those breakdowns are available if anyone needs to see those. Financial summaries were approved with, favorable recommendation as well. Was a discussion on the, next month to have, noticed where the interest for the, from the couple of CDs that have been added, where that is going into the 151, to make sure that we're seeing that. So that was one of the discussion pieces that also took place there. Next up, we've got one that was already mentioned, the streetscape, which is a $25,000 finalization, we hope. That's the word, I think, in this piece, payment. It was approved favorably. I think Ms. Amy even spoke that we hope that when that's paid and all that end is finalized, there will hopefully be some reimbursement coming back to the county. We'll see what that ends up at. The next three were all general purpose schools, just transfers of money. So we took all those three together with a favorable recommendation. That would be the report.
Thank you, sir. Under 10D, Public Works, Bubba Gregory.
Yes, we have a meeting on January 24th and February the 21st. I'm gonna go over the minutes from the 21st, February 21st, and more or less everything discussed in the January meeting was discussed in the February meeting also. The first thing we talked about was what new playground, we first thought it's gonna be like April, May, we may have it complete. Cliff said now it's probably looking like September, or October. They hadn't even had a pre-construction meeting yet, but it is scheduled for March the 12th, the pre-construction meeting on that. And he said it's probably looking like later on in the fall to get the new playground finished. We was hoping in the spring, but it's not looking like that. But like I said, the first pre-construction meeting is on March the 12th. Then we talked about basketball courts. He said they're being repainting and restriped. Said it changes some lights to LED. We just discussed the Little League fields, that the Little League has really been doing some work at the fields down there, putting new benches and putting tops over the dugouts and all that. It really looks good. I was down there Sunday with my grandkids, and everything's beginning to look good at the Little League fields. I asked about vandalism. He said the vandalism has really been nothing really going on with the vandalism, that the cameras has really helped with that situation. Then we talked about discussion of the 2024 pool season. She presented the prices and hours. We more or less left them the same as they are from last year. But we are just gonna have 2-hour parties this time instead of 3-hour parties. That was a favorable recommendation from the committee. The pool opening and closing dates, we're gonna bring that up in our March meeting. Hopefully we'll have a date for the opening and the closing. We'll come up with that in our March meeting. She has put flyers out at different places trying to get lifeguards. If anybody else in here knows anybody who wants to be a lifeguard, they need to get hold of the Public Works Department. They've got 4 or 5, but we need several more. If y'all know of anybody interested in doing that. Then we also discussed the Blue Cross Blue Shield Park grant. It comes back open in August. And we're trying to come up with some ideas. We recommend more or less The committee members brought up youth football, basketball courts, volleyball courts, the tennis and pickleball courts. That's something we're gonna try to apply and get all that updated. We can get that from the Blue Cross and Blue Shield grant. There was solid waste. We talked about prices of a new truck, of the garbage truck that goes around and picks the trash cans up. Talked difference in the prices, of buying one or leasing one, and it seems like it'd be better to buy it straight out. And it was brought up about going ahead and trying to purchase one out of Urban Services, but we put that off and maybe bring it up from the budget finance. That was about it. Our next meeting is scheduled for March the 13th at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Are there any other committee reports this time? Are there any meetings that need to be announced, meeting times in March that need to be announced? Any committees? If not, we'll move on to active business. We have a number of appointments to the Ag Extension Board. Reappointments are being made to that board through the UT Extension Office. Those being reappointed for 2-year terms are Katie Mae Harper, Van Thompson, and Will Dennis. I need a motion. I need a motion to approve. Motion to approve by Mr. Crook, second by Mr. Whitaker. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any opposed? Motion carried. On resolutions, Mr. Grigger, I understand we've moved that to Wednesday evening. So we'll move on to the second resolution, which is 2024-04-801. In support of the Trousdale County Board of Education's opposition to the Freedom of Education Act. This was discussed at length in the work session. Do I have is Mr. Satterfield or anyone from Board of Education here? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
By Chris Gregory. Motion second. Second by Landon Gully. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, no.
No.
Motion carried. Resolution 2024-04-801 has passed. Under ordinances, give everyone a chance to flip the pages. We have 2 ordinances addressing rezoning. The first is a public hearing followed by second reading of rezoning on West McMurray Boulevard at Crenshaw intersection. Ms. Mahan, please provide a brief summary of this rezoning request.
Absolutely. So first off, we have the rezoning on West McMurray Boulevard, where this piece of property has 4 different zones on this lot. They'd like to combine it all and have it have one zone as an R1, and they will do this for subdividing the property. What questions might you have?
Yes, sir.
Motion approved.
I say. Doing it the public. meeting first.
We've got to open the floor for public hearing, so thank you.
Welcome.
I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance 301-2024-01 of the rezoning of A1, R1, R2 to R1 on West McMurray. Does anyone from the public wish to speak to this ordinance? Anyone? Does anyone wish to speak?
Motion to close public hearing.
Okay. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Gregory, second by Lonnie Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Public hearing is closed. Mr. Gully,
Motion approved on second.
motion to approve. Here a second. Second by Bubba Gregory. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay. The commission will now hold the second reading of ordinance, nope, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Sorry about that. Now we're at first reading, ordinance 302-2024-02, rezoning A1 to R1 on Highway 25 West. Ms. Mahan, while you're up here, would you address that for us, please?
Certainly. So as you see, the map that you have before you, the parcel is along Highway 25. All of the lots across the street from this parcel is zoned R1. So it would not be lending itself to be spot zoning or whatever. The reason why they would like to have this rezoned R1 is that they would like to subdivide the lot and be able to make a buildable lot and sell that parcel.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by, yes, sir. Motion by Mr. Thomas, second by Jerry Ford. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Okay, we have a number of budget amendments. We will consider three of them together and the first one separately. On streetscape finalization. Do I have a motion to approve that? Motion by, yes, sir, by Mr. Gully.
Yes.
Second by Mr. Thomas. Discussion? I'm sorry? I'm told it needs to be a roll call, so, Ms. Crowder.
Beverly Atwood. Tommy Belcher.
Yes.
Jane's absent. Alan Carmen.
Yeah.
Grant Cawthorn.
Yes.
Brian Crook.
Yes.
Bill's absent. Jerry Ford.
Yes.
Chris Gregory.
Yes.
Bubba Gregory.
Yes.
Landon Gully.
Yes.
Richard Johnson.
Yes.
Judy Kerr.
Yes.
David Nollner.
Yes.
Leslie Overman.
Yes.
Mark Presley.
Yes.
Amber Russell.
Yes.
Lonnie Taylor.
Yes.
David Thomas.
Yes.
Steve Whitaker.
Yes.
18 yes, 2 absent.
Okay, amendment 111-03 FB is approved. Now we have three amendments from the schools. All three may be taken in one motion. Mr. Satterfield, he's not, yes, sir.
If the school's not here to speak to, I'll move to approve all three.
Okay,
I'll second that.
motion to approve all three, second by Ms. Atwood, motion by Mr. Grigger. Is that a roll call? What's that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carried. Do we have notaries tonight? We do? Oh, you wanna help me out? Is that Ariana Chavez? Ariana Chavez, Tanya Cox, and Elizabeth Parker Harper. Aviana is with Metro National Schools. Tanya is self-employed. Elizabeth Harper with Compliance Engineering. I hear a motion to approve. By Ms. Atwood, second by Grant Cawthorn. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under other business, are there any needs that need to be addressed tonight under other business? If not, Mr. Taylor, will you take the chair while I make an announcement to the court? At this time, it is necessary for me to inform the court. In speaking with Mr. Holder, he has made it abundantly clear that he is no longer willing to sell his property to the county. If you have any questions, I'll refer you to legal counsel.
Question is, are we still having the call meeting? Yeah.
What you have on your agenda for Wednesday night is a special call meeting to consider the resolution that is number 2024-03-800 in support of purchasing that property.
But we know what it's able. Seems like it's resolution's a moot point. Yeah, or, I mean,
It's the will of this body at this point. If you decide that you want to go forward with a meeting on Wednesday night at the special call meeting just for the purposes of voting your support for it, that's fine. If not, then at that point, then there, you are correct. There is no need for a special call meeting.
I don't think the other point of the meeting was also to get information about and other possibilities, so at least I'd kind of still like to have that, at least even to be able to talk about options amongst ourselves, but it's whatever the.
That's not necessarily, you have the notice of the special call meeting, Miss Amy. Make sure you've got all that.
I think what you would find is that the findings by Mr. Langford are specifically addressed to that property.
Okay, but to review information on the proposed jail is what's considered in the announcements. I mean, that would qualify, I would think, but like I said, if there's no point in doing it, then I guess the point is, I guess it's up to us.
I think everything was geared toward that particular piece of property. Mr. Commissioner Gregory.
I think it would be a waste of taxpayer dollars to have a call meeting when we don't have property to discuss purchasing.
Any other comments?
So
Yes.
there's absolutely, at least at this point, no reconsideration. I missed you. Yes.
He was abundantly clear in his conversation.
I think that ship has sailed. Now, it will be up to this court to decide what direction we take next.
Can we set a committee? Or is there a committee?
I think at one time there was a proposed committee, but it was never approved by this commission. I think at this point, we need to let Sheriff Russell take the lead on this and go from there. And look at whether other options are out there, in my opinion. Any other comments on that? Somebody needs to make a motion to cancel that meeting. Motion by Leslie Orban. Second? Second by Mr. Crook. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carried. Under public comment, are there anyone from the public in attendance tonight that signed in? If you'll come up, please. And we'll hear from the public. Dean Sprague, would you please approach the podium, please?
Yes, sir. Members of the committee, my name is Dean Sprague. I've been a residential property owner here in Trousdale County since 2015 when I retired here with my family from Washington State. My former occupation was 35 years in government and law enforcement administration. And I worked directly for several of those decades, working directly with city government, including code enforcement and publicly owned property use. My wife, Jenilyn, has extensive family in the Madison, White House, Defeated Creek, Lebanon, and Mount Juliet areas going back more than a century. And we rented, excuse me, and we're retired to be closer to them. She is the owner of Mudlark Espresso and Bakery, currently housed in a food trailer. In August of last year, after years of searching for suitable real estate, we purchased 206 Broadway. It's a former feed warehouse between Goose Creek, the creek, and the sheriff's office. And we're in the process of restoring it to become a coffee shop and bakery. There is a second floor as well, and we have tentative plans in a later phase to convert into several Airbnbs. We also have a large parking lot next to our building, currently designated as county owned.
that the sheriff's office makes use of, in a vacant fence lot behind us, abutting the high school football field, also owned by the county. We've had in-person meetings with the sheriff's office, with the water department, with the mayor, and with both verbal and written proposals to access the lots as shared use, to improve the properties on our dime, to rent or even to purchase them and to make use of them for greater community access. And those requests have all been declined. My question, excuse me, since I'm from a different organization, governmental organization, has to do with the equitable use of county-owned properties. As an example, in addition to the ones I just gave, my focus is a piece of unused county property on Broadway, a block from our own commercial building and across the street. Currently, there are approximately 6 to 8 food trucks or trailers in the Trousdale County and Hartsville area. We are all limited to having to rent and compete for accessible private property locations or try to buy a piece of property for our own. Currently, that piece of property, which is next to the fire department, as of 2 weeks ago, and as it has been for months, remains available to only one trailer, to the exclusion of all others, the Ridge Coffee House. I have nothing against the Ridge. I have nothing against anyone conducting business in Trousdale County. There's plenty to go around. We were told that they have no contract, pay no rent, and have no permit to work that location, and is apparently an exclusive verbal arrangements to the exclusion of all else. Our frustration began when the Ridge had not been on site, so we chose to open our trailer in front of our own building, careful not to park anywhere in the county parking lot next to us or too close to the roadway. On each and every one of those occasions, our social media announcements that we would be on site resulted in the Ridge showing up, and because they have a space that allows up to 7 cars to queue on one side of the street and we only have one, it ends up being somebody gets all the business and somebody gets none, which again, that's free enterprise. We wish Goose Creek and the Ridge, both coffee businesses, all the best. Unfortunately, we are at a distinct and obvious disadvantage due to what appears to be an inequitable government circumstance, that of perceived favoritism of one business to the exclusion of all others. As an additional frustration, we're hearing that the Ridge is planning on building a brick and mortar, as Goose Creek has done and as we are in the process of doing. Under the current arrangement, the Ridge could build on one side of town, establish their coffee trailer on the other side of town for the price of just one, because the other site would be free to them, and effectively have 2 of the same business on opposite sides of the downtown core, adding to an unfair advantage provided only to them and no other business. We would never think to park our coffee trailer across the street from Goose Creek Coffee Shop, nor would we ever park across from the Ridge should they choose to open a brick and mortar. Yet that is what seems to be occurring with us. Again, I have nothing against the Ridge and commend their hustle and applaud their success. My frustration seems to be favoritism. My suggestions for solving this inequity, this perceived inequity, are twofold. And it has to do with the public's ability to conduct business as a private entity on county property. The first is that either nobody is allowed to conduct commercial business for free on county-owned property, or everyone is allowed to conduct commercial business with those properties subject to equal access to permitting, fees, and control during their contracted dates. If more than one business wants to work in any one spot, there would be a simple rotation either by day or by week, with all food trucks, trailers, and other businesses able to participate. I'm open to any other suggestions which allow for the fair, equitable, and open use of county property by all requesting parties. And I'm interested in any information regarding how private businesses may operate on public county-controlled property for the benefit of all parties involved, both county and businesses. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, that's fine. If you wish to clarify any perceptions that I may have, I'm certainly open to listening. Yes, sir.
One question, you referenced a supposed verbal agreement. Was there any indication who that agreement was made, who that supposed agreement was made with?
It was my understanding that was made out of, well, I guess it would be the mayor's office. But it was made with a county official.
Okay, I'm curious who that was, but
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I'm Amber Russell. Hey, I know a great place for that you guys will be able to park and get a good amount of business, not just like the spot parking that's over there. Would be if you went to the hospital. We have trucks that come to our hospital all the time and they get so many orders.
Well, again, I speak because obviously we have a vested interest in it, but there are more than a half dozen other trucks that are finding themselves expressing that same frustration of, we can't go anywhere where we don't have to pay rent, where we have to, they're just looking for a place to make their business just as we are. And again, my issue isn't that the Ridge is allowed to benefit. The issue is that nobody else is allowed to benefit. And my issue is all about equity of publicly owned property.
Thank you, Mr. Sprague.
Thank you.
Daniel Gunter.
Well, can we find out who?
Yeah, that's being addressed through Public Works at this time. I've talked to Mr. Salee about that, about the necessary permitting. That was a decision made in the mayor's office back earlier to give that business an opportunity to get started. And it was understood in the beginning that at some point in time, they would have to be permitted and start paying monthly rent. And that's what's in process at this point. Mr. Gunter?
If I have any more questions.
Okay. Any other public comment this time? Anyone from the public? If there's no other business in front of us, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Ms. Atwood, second by Lonnie Taylor. All in favor, stand up. Thank you.